Hello everyone, welcome back to Classic Automotive Services. Right, this week we've had yet again another very busy week, as we always do. We'll go on to the sprint engine in a minute. As you can see, it's pretty much, the engine is now complete and finished. But we'll go on to this in a minute. So we mentioned last week, got the black TR7 with the suspect blown head gasket. We did say last week we weren't 100% sure if the head was cracked or there's something else going on at the same time, as with the symptoms it had got, we'd never ever seen it push coolant up. I've never seen one of these engines push coolant out of a bolt hole. So we've got the engine and gearbox out of it, and we've got the engine stripped, head off of it. And, the owner, I actually recommended he goes and buys himself a lottery ticket, as the cylinder head studs actually unwound, which, that doesn't happen on these engines. The Sprints are probably the best ones to get apart, as they're all enclosed in the rocker cover and they've constantly got oil on them. But the TR7s, Stags, Dolomite 1850, etc., they really suffer with the studs seizing up. These ones literally wound them out with fingers. There was no fight with it whatsoever to get the head off, which was surprising. Whether that's because of maybe how hot the engine had been running and broken a lot of the corrosion up, I don't know. But the studs weren't even showing any signs of corrosion. So, but we got it apart, and yes, the head gasket had failed massively on cylinder 2 and between cylinders 2 and 3 in the middle. And then that you could see a massive dark area on the head, which was leading down to the bolt hole. So it was pushing coolant out between the head and the block and up the studs, and it was a right old mess. So, but we got it apart. We've also taken got the water pump out of the engine and stripped that down because that was leaking as well. And now the cylinder head and the water pump impeller are at the machine shop. The head's been refaced and the impeller is being skimmed as well. So we're waiting for that to come back. We have got all the parts now to put it back together. So we've got all the gaskets and seals and everything we need to put it back together. So we are just waiting for the machine shop to get back to us. They were hoping to get done for the end of the week, but they haven't phoned on Friday saying it was done. So I'm going to phone them on Monday and see what the state of play is with that. But chances are I'm not going to be able to get back on it next week. Even if we did get the head back, as I've got the White Stag to do. That's promised for next weekend. So we'll do that next week, and we'll do the video on the White Stag next week as well. So we can show you what's involved in that. So that's the black TR7. We've got all the photographs of it all coming apart and the state of the head gasket and everything, etc. The engine's tucked over there at the moment. So yeah, we'll do some more on that in detail when we actually put it back together. So then we decided I wanted to get the Sprint engine back together and sealed up, mainly because the Stag involves bodywork and it's quite dusty and messy. Don't want to be having an open engine with bodywork and that going on. So we got the Sprint engine all back together. So we've got the new upgraded time chain guides fitted. We showed them last week. Got a new roll-on timing chain in there. What else have we got in there? The original old stock Leyland tensioner foot, and I did use the original Reynolds tensioner body, which again had no wear or anything in it. So it's now basically got a brand new old stock timing chain tensioner. We've now gone through all the carbs and got them all cleaned up, done a base set on them so they're ready to run. We fully rebuilt all the distributor as well, if you come and have a look at the distributor. So we've cleaned up fully stripped and rebuilt all the distributor, so that's all ready to go. All got a base set and on the timing on it, so it should be turnkey, ready to go. We've got all new fuel pipes on it, as they were old and a bit hard. So we've changed all the fuel pipes, got all the correct clips on the fuel pipes. I didn't have this style of clip for the 8mm, so we've got conventional ones on there. New breather hoses, new vacuum line for the advance and retard, and obviously K&N filters. So all the engine mounts are back on. So it is completely built and literally ready to go in the car to turn the key, so it will run. So it should fire with the timing is set, everything. It should pretty much fire straight up. Obviously, we'll prime it first, prime up the oil system first, and then it should literally just fire up, which is what we want. So we can break it in and then get it all set up. So that's the Sprint engine, and we've then been doing the gearbox. So I actually done a little bit of recording on the gearbox on Friday, as that was losing oil out of every orifice it could. So we'll put the video of me doing the gearbox in now, and then we'll show you the gearbox where it is up to after that.
Right, here we've got the Triumph Dolomite Sprint gearbox. Now, I've stripped it down as far as we're actually going to take this gearbox, as there's not actually get my words right, there's not actually anything wrong internally in the gearbox. It was just leaking oil out of every single joint possible. So, we had a bit of a disaster to start with, as the cross shaft in the bell housing for the clutch fork, the bolt which goes through the cross shaft actually sheared, so I had to cut the cross shaft out, which that's not the best start, but I've ordered a new cross shaft. They're fairly easy to get hold of. You can't get hold of the clutch forks though, so I've managed to save the clutch fork. If you look, I've managed to carefully drill it out without actually damaging the threads. So obviously after I cut the shaft anyway, because you can't actually get a drill or anything to actually drill it out, because it sits in the bell housing that way around about there. So the bolt is actually facing down, so you can't actually do anything with it if it shears, which is a brilliant bit of design work. So we've got that all sorted out. Got a new cross shaft on the way. Now, one of the things that is causing the oil leaks is, if you've watched our previous video on the engines, well, I'd expect the engine for this car anyway, especially the cylinder head, is the threads. None of them are countersunk. And I've got a blade here, just to show. So if I scrape that blade along, hitting a burr on every single one. That one especially. It's just got a burr on all the threads. And what's happened, in fact you can actually see that one very carefully. You can actually see the burr around the edge of the hole. So what's happened there is, when it's been tightened up, it's pulled the threads because they're not countersunk, which has then caused high spots. And as this only has a very, very thin paper gasket on the top, and the rest of them are all quite thin as well, there's a bit of gasket there, very thin paper gasket, it then causes these to be high, causes lows, spots in the middle, oil seeps through. So we'll do what we've done with the cylinder head, and we'll countersink all of these and re-tap them all. So we'll clean the gearbox out a little bit. We're not going to strip it down, but we'll clean this out and cover it up, as it is a bit oily and gummy in here. So the gearbox itself is actually in really good condition. I've done many gearboxes now, and I don't get why people are frightened of gearboxes. They're actually far easier and simpler than an engine to build, for example. So what I'll do is quickly run you through the gearbox. Obviously we've got, starting at the back of the gearbox, we've got first gear, second, third, fourth. Fourth is a 1-to-1 ratio, so the gear on the lay shaft in the bottom of the gearbox is the same size as that one. Then we've got reverse, which is straight cut, and then the reverse idler gear, which is there, disengages it. So if I put that in reverse and turn the gearbox, you'll see the input shaft going one way and that going the other way. So it's not going to stay out of gear now. But so yeah, there's no chipped teeth. It's nice and smooth. Got decent gaps on all the bulk rings. So the bulk rings are basically the brakes. On the end of this hub, for example, you've got a taper. So the bulk ring, as you go to select the gear, I'm not going to select it, but if you push that over, as it goes to select the gear, the bulk ring then grips this hub and matches the speed, as these spin at different speeds. All these hubs spin at different speeds, so it matches the speed, so this can then slip over and engage. When you get gearbox crunching, it's usually the bulk rings that are worn, and it's not actually these teeth which are crunching, it's these teeth here, which is a common misconception. People think that it's the actual gears themselves, and no, it's not. It's these teeth here which crunch. So that's the Dolomite Sprint gearbox. So I've got to wait for a new cross shaft, but I can get on and clean the casing up and get it all prepped. I've got all the gaskets and seals for it, so I can get most of it, well, I can get the whole thing built up, so it's all done, ready to go, and then just fit a new cross shaft when it arrives. I've obviously ordered a new bolt as well, so a bit annoying that sheared. It's one of them things. But you actually have to undo that to get the thrust bearing carrier off. The thrust bearing carrier, so you can actually change the thrust bearing. So, you know, which we were doing anyway, as it's having a new clutch. So, it's, yeah, one of them things. But there we go. That's inside a Triumph Dolomite Sprint gearbox. And here we go, look, I've now given the gasket surface a bit of a clean up as well. So if we look, got a nice countersink on the thread, tapped all the holes out, so it's now nice and flat, nice and clean. The bolts will go up nicely and it won't leak anymore. So now we've got to repeat the whole process on all the other ceiling faces on the gearbox. So there's the rear part inside the bell housing as well. We'll get every single one done, so it's all ready to go, and then we can then give it a good wash and get it looking all spectacular and reassembled. One thing I have noticed on this gearbox as well, which I've not actually really noticed much in the past, maybe I weren't looking as much into it, is a lot of these holes, if I grab a light, I don't know if it will work, and if I put a light through there, you can see they're through holes, so they're not blind. Same with that ones, so you can see the light reflecting through the hole. Now that's not an issue, not at all, but it will allow oil to be flung around. Obviously this is spinning at a really fast rate, it will fling it around, and the oil could potentially work its way up the threads and also start weeping. So when I reassemble this, I will put some thread lock on all the bolts, nothing aggressive, just a nice thread lock to act as a bit of a sealer, and that should also stop all the leaks. So now I've got to repeat all that again on every single other thread on the gearbox, and then give it a good clean.
Right, here we've now got the gearbox partly back together. Obviously, we've cleaned up all the casing, and we've moved from the messy area to the clean area to reassemble it. And yep, so we've got it all cleaned up, new gaskets and everything on it, new nuts and bolts. Is pointless not replacing them, as well, they're pence. It's cheaper to replace them than it is clean the old ones up. New gaskets, and it's looking very nice. That reverse idler keeps going in place and making it rattle. Yep, there's nothing wrong with the actual gearbox, as I said in the last little video. We've got all of the front end back together as well, with the oil seal in the thrust bearing carrier. Changed the gasket on the lay shaft cover. It's all cleaned out in there, ready to go. And we've also now got the new cross shaft. As I mentioned, we had to cut the old one to get it out, as this bolt had actually sheared. So we've got the new cross shaft, and what happened with the other one, this bolt had actually sheared. It goes in that way because it's on it's a taper bolt. It had sheared and left the actual bit of the taper in the shaft, so I physically couldn't get it out, not without cutting the shaft and doing it off the gearbox. So we've got the new shaft, brand new old stock, and a nice new bolt for it. So this afternoon I'm hopefully going to do a bit more on this and get the remote actually cleaned up and refitted, possibly the overdrive as well. The overdrive's down there, just wants cleaning up, and new gaskets on that as well, and a new rear oil seal. And then the gearbox is going to be good to go, and it won't leak anymore, especially after having to face all of the top and get rid of all the burrs that were on the threads. So yeah, that should be absolutely spot on, ready to go. So like I said, next week we're on the White Stag, and we'll get the driver's door sorted out and basically repaint the side of the car. We're going to try and keep it below the stripe and repaint the lower half of the side, as the owner has sold the car, and it's part of the deal that he sold it to get the door done. So we want to try and help him keep the costs down. Hopefully we can keep it all below the stripe and use the stripe as a somewhere to mask it off to, just to get that so it's sorted and nice and tidy. Then following that, we're back on the black TR7, get the head gasket sorted out, and then we can hopefully get this sprint engine in and fired up. So whether I want to say whether that be next week or not, I don't know. It won't be next week. That Stag is going to take quite a lot of work to do, that door on that Stag. Got to basically replace the bottom of the door, repair the skin, prep and paint the door and the sides and blend it in. Yeah, so like I was saying, there's a lot of work on that Stag, so we'll do the pictures and the video of that on that next week. So we'll put all the pictures in at the end of all the work we've done this week, as we always do, especially the black TR7 with the bonehead gasket and all the sprint engine going back together. So please like and subscribe, and we will see you next week.